Hey, when you all can hear me, let me know. And we will go ahead and get started. It's going to be one of those nights, so you definitely want to make sure you tune into this one. And I hope you do tune in. Share this also. Because I'm upset, y'all. I'm really irritated. I expect some of the stuff that I've been seeing out of the Breitbart, Ben Shapiro's of the world, the Alex Joneses of the world, but some of the stuff that I've been seeing out of the left, I'm highly disappointed. And so we're going to address this today. Like now. Please share the video. Give it about 2 more minutes. So funny that I had it double checked. Hey, comment, let me know if you can see me. Or hear me. Or anything. Let me know if you can hear me and see me. You know, YouTube does its own thing sometimes. And give it about 2 more minutes. Anybody want to shout out? Let me know now, forever hold your pieces. Man, I feel like some of y'all are not getting my my notifications like y'all usually do. Usually we got about 30 people in by now. What is going on? I know it's Jesus Day. Was it Sunday? No, it's Monday. So it's not even Jesus Day. No, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday. Where everybody at? We're going to give it about 1 more minute. Try to figure out where everybody at. Share this if you can. Y'all hear me? Oh, has YouTube been testing algorithms? Oh, I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by that at all. Yeah, if you're getting this just now, please share. And if if you're watching this on the replay, we're gonna edit it down. Don't worry. So sorry. We're just trying to get everybody to come because nobody can see any live streams from me apparently. What a surprise! 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 What a surprise that I'm not surprised at all. About 30 more seconds, peeps. So fan that I do it. Appreciate you getting on, Designer Dave. I appreciate that. So many people that I know are. I'm literally looking for people who are usually on here and nobody knows that I'm on right now. That's crazy. Come on, YouTube. Y'all gotta get it together. Y'all really do. So essentially because Ocasio has broke the internet, YouTube has decided that it doesn't want to work anymore. Wow, what a surprise, right? Oh, it said just up yesterday. Appreciate that, Giovanni Vita. And Designer Dave, gotta support progressive voices. Abso-freaking-lutely. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. I'm sorry that it took so long to get started. We're trying to figure out what the hell's going on with YouTube. Usually we have about 25 to 30 people on at this point, but I guess today YouTube has decided that it's not going to allow people to see my videos today. Isn't that cool? How nice of them. It's so sweet. Yeah. Anyway, for those of you who can watch this right now, greatly appreciate it, and thank you for tuning in to Mi Casa es Su Casa, and I am your host, Niko House. If you are one of those people who are a fan, or if you're a fan of my rants, this is a good day for you, because I really tried to be super nice about this situation. I tried let me be patient. Let me see how people respond. Let me see if people are going to do their own research. And silly me, for some reason, I give people sometimes too often I give people the benefit of the doubt. People, I need you all to understand something. When a person like Ocasio unseats somebody like Crowley, it is perfectly fine for you to start doing research to figure out if there was something wrong with that situation. Because believe you me, I have friends who are friends with Ocasio, personal friends with her, and I even started doing research like, hold up, what has happened? Let's make sure that we're all on the same page, because I hope that she didn't do something. And checked everything out. Everything was good to go. So cool. Got it. However, although I did my research and I asked the right questions and started emailing people, not everybody got the memo. So you got the left, you have a lie that was started by the right saying that Ocasio is a millionaire. Wow. Because how many millionaires do you know wear their shoes down literally to the point of having holes in them canvassing? How many millionaires do you know who literally held 0 big fundraisers? You know, the sit down dinners where I'm not taking any corporate money, but every plate is $1,000. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Okay. But they doubled down by saying, did you know that Ocasio, for a good portion of her life, she didn't even live in the Bronx. She lived in Westchester County, which is literally like if you go from like the very inner side of the Bronx to the very beginning of Westchester, because of the lights and the traffic, maybe a 30-minute drive. Because her parents wanted her to go to a good school. So we're going to address all of that. We're going to address all of that today because, like I said, I'm frustrated. I'm very, very frustrated because progressives can't ever have anything nice. We can't ever have anything nice. So, I want to tell you all the story that originated. This whole conspiracy that somehow Ocasio is the richest bartender living in the Bronx in the history of New York City. Breitbart did some research about Ocasio's family. Alexandria was born in the Bronx. Now, like a hard-working American, her dad worked his way up in society and was eventually able to become an architect, which is pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome because if you don't know, living in the Bronx can seriously detriment your education in your future, which is why Ocasio's family wanted so desperately to move her out of that education system because the politicians in that area have failed them miserably. But I digress. So, her dad became an architect. Good on him. Didn't know that was a bad thing, but according to the right, that is a horrible thing. According to Breitbart, that is a horrible thing. I literally saw something that said Ocasio was a fraud. Did you know she was middle class at some point in her life? How dare she never say otherwise? She literally never said that. She said she came from a working class background. That was literally what she said. If you saw her ad, she said clearly working class usually is middle class. You know, obviously it can go from poor to middle, but that's usually what at least politically, that's what I consider, you know, middle class. But whatever. Let's continue. So, their justification for all of this, for the attacks, for the slander, is that her dad, when he became an architect, in order to make sure that their kids could go to a school outside of the Bronx, to a better school in Westchester County, their dad came up with this great solution. Maybe we should try to purchase a home in Westchester County. Now, here's one thing that they don't tell you about the story. And it's funny because they conveniently always leave this part out. Unfortunately, Ocasio's father passed away during the recession. So that means they had a home on an architect's salary. And there was no architect in the family anymore during the recession. So merely to keep the home, just to keep the home, Ocasio had to work, her brother had to work, her mom had to work, and they were still scraping by. Oh, but unfortunately unfortunately the story gets better. By that I mean it's worse. This home, because the story portrayed Westchester County, because you know, like Breitbart and those super right-wing people, they love to mention certain facts but totally leave out the other facts. They tried to say that do you know the average home right now in Westchester County is $4 million with the Dr. Evil voice, which is true, and they actually have some of the highest property taxes in the country, which is true. This is true. You know what they don't say? What they don't talk about is this weird thing happened after the recession happened. New York started creating a lot of jobs, generating a lot more revenue in homes, not only in New York but across the country, but very specifically in New York, started increasing to disgustingly new heights that, I mean, even compared to inflation, when you compare it to the past, this was insane. It was insane. People in Westchester County at one point they weren't like known for being millionaires. Like, that's not what they were known for. It was like when you wanted to finally get out the city, that's where you would go because you just got tired of the city. Now, in order for you to have any space, you have to move to Long Island, like Nassau, or even some parts of Suffolk County. You have to move to Westchester County just to have any space, or if you want to get out of that public school system and still want to remain in a public school system that isn't in like the actual city of New York, you have to move out to those areas. But what they didn't say, which actually was readily available, is that Gabriel, which is Ocasio's brother, explained exactly what that home looked like. It was less than 1,000 square feet, 3 small bedrooms, and 1 single bathroom for not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 people. Terrible winter drafts, leaky roof, etc. I watched my parents skip dinner just so we could eat. I'm going to read that to you again. Less than 1,000 square feet. A lot of you right now have apartments that are 1,000 square feet. This was a home, like a house, in one of the richest counties ever. 3 small bedrooms, 1 bathroom, for not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, but 5 people. While the family was intact, while the father was still there, the brother describes having to watch his parents skip dinner just to be able to afford that home. So imagine what it was like after he passed away. Imagine what that was like. They had to work merely to keep it. Now, they also go on to talk about how, some of the highest property taxes in the country in Westchester County. The average price of the home in Westchester County is $4 million. And there was actually some people alluding to, because people who've never lived in New York or not from New York have no idea what the hell they're talking about when it comes to New York real estate or locality. Some people were saying that she was living in the Upper West Side. No, that's not a thing. That's not true. Didn't happen. Westchester County is not the Upper West Side. The Upper West Side is full of rich people. Yes, they would be right if they were alluding that she may have had a large income in Upper West Side. If she lived there, that would be valid, but she does not. She does not live there. She lived in Westchester County. She did for elementary school through high school. Then, God forbid, she went to college, which according to the right is a big deal. That means she lied. You can't be working class and go to college. How dare you? You conniving woman. But here's what they did. They went through all this effort to try and slander Ocasio. That what they didn't do is actually do some legitimate research. So I went ahead and did it for them, because that's what I do. You know me, regular janitor in journalism, cleaning up everybody else's messes. Okay. Let's take a look at the Westchester magazine on September 24th, 2008, right around the time, maybe a couple of months after they bought the house. Let's get the bad news out of the way. This is how the article starts out. Let's get the bad news out of the way. Sales of single-family homes in Westchester County has decreased 26.7% between the second quarter of 2007 and the second quarter of 2008, according to the Westchester Putnam multiple listing service. As if that's not disheartening enough, the median price, because remember, this is what they were talking about. The median price of a home right now in Westchester County is $4 million. So according to the multiple listing service in Westchester County, the median, house of a single, or cost of a single family home dropped from $700,000 to $674,000. Inventory had even gone up 10.6%. 443 houses more are on the market than there were last year. So, I'm not going to lie to you. If you're in the class of people who think that's expensive in New York, I don't want to laugh at you, but I will in this particular instance, because that is literally peanuts in New York money. I stay in a condo that, like, the home, if I wanted to buy it myself, costs almost $6 million. You know how big my room was? It was a box. It was a box, people. This is what I'm saying right now. This is 2008, around the time they bought the home. And the article literally says, if you were hoping to sell but decided to wait for a rebound, you might want to be staying put for a while, because that is how hard it was to sell a home. Clearly, Ocasio's family of 5 that decided to live in a 3-bedroom household with 1 bathroom were just rolling in the dough. They were rolling in the dough. Like, that's what was happening here. The attacks that I've seen coming from the right and then being recycled by the left on Alexandria Ocasio, it is absolutely sickening. It is disgusting. It is unacceptable. You are spreading lies, ill-researched lies that have come out of desperation from the establishment, the same establishment that you supposedly hate. You're quoting the New York Times. You're quoting Breitbart. You're quoting The Atlantic. You're quoting The Hill to justify lying about someone, saying that she is establishment, that she's a liar, and you're using the same mainstream establishment sources that you supposedly hate to justify it. I don't get it. Do you just want to fail? You know what y'all sound like? Y'all sound like the same people who are like, did you know that Bernie Sanders had $3 million homes? Oh my God. Which was a lie. It was a freaking lie. It was not true. He inherited a home. He then bought a beach house that was like, I think at the max I've heard the highest was $600,000, which is nothing for a beach house, especially on a senator's salary and a woman who was formerly a dean at a university. I could have been had that. But to even buy that, they sold an inherited home, and they still had their original home in Burlington. You sound like imbeciles. If you were one of the ones going around telling people that Ocasio was a millionaire when she was a damn bartender in the Bronx, When she graduated from Boston College, which I don't remember the idiot on Twitter who said that she went to a Ivy League university. Clearly you didn't, because you have no idea what an Ivy League university is. I don't even think she didn't go to Boston College. I think she went to Boston University, which is not the same thing. But while she was there, she studied economics, the same economics the right clearly doesn't understand, because they think that her programs are, you can't pay for them. I can do simple math. How about we take $100 billion from the $700 billion military budget and give it to the people who are paying the taxes that keep raising your wallets while we're still here suffering without health care, and you give us excuses talking about we can't afford it. How about we deal? I mean, I don't got to be an economist for that. Let me reiterate. From the brother of Alexandria Ocasio, the home was less than 1,000 feet, 3 small bedrooms, 1 bathroom for 5 people, with terrible drafts in the winter, which means it was cold as shit, a leaky roof. And just to own that home, even though the father was a working architect at the time, he had to watch his parents skip dinner just so they could eat. Oh, then, by the way, they lost the money that the architect was bringing in because her father passed away. You insensitive dickheads. That family worked to keep that home. And it wasn't even worth shit. Not even close to what they were saying. And it's funny because they could go and figure out what the average cost of a home is in Westchester County at this moment. But interestingly enough, they wouldn't go do the simple research that took only a 3-minute Google search to figure out exactly how much homes cost at that point in time. Mind you, he was an architect during a time period where how many architect jobs were out there as the housing market and the commercial real estate market started going on the decline. Clearly, that's why they had 5 people living in a fucking 3-bedroom house. In 2007, 2008, the average home was listed from anywhere from $675,000 to $700,000. Don't you think that once again that is a stark contrast from the $4 million that Breitbart and The Atlantic was trying to sell you? And yet some of you all call yourselves progressives, quoting statistics from Breitbart. Every now and then, when everything goes right, believe it or not, good things can happen to the people you least expect them to happen to. Especially the right person for the right job, who put in the right amount of work. Ocasio just happens to be one of those people. Her interviews, I think in all of her interviews, she said only one thing I didn't like. She said that she would endorse whoever the Democratic Party candidate was at the time, if they were running against Trump. Which I don't even know if I believe that, because I think she said it so they would get off of her back. But if you watch that CNN interview, it was toxic. I've never seen CNN care so much about someone's platform. On that same interview, when they tried to push her against Cynthia Nixon, she made it clear that she was going to endorse Cynthia Nixon, and she made it very clear why she was going to endorse Cynthia Nixon. She also made it clear that she was going to, one of the first things that she said she was going to do was establish a progressive caucus. When they try to say, are you going to vote for Kamala Harris? Are you going to vote for Kirsten Gillibrand? Who's your pick for 2020? I don't know. Can we get past 2018 first? Can we hear their policies? Can we see where they stand? Can we see if they have more competition? They tried to even push back, say, isn't your party going to be upset about that? Okay, and there's literally one thing that I have a little problem with. But I also have done enough research that I know her past. She has been an activist. She spent middle school, some of elementary school, and high school in Westchester County because her parents literally scrapped, and saved so that she can get out of the Bronx school district. You know what we call that? We call that working class. That's a working class family. Can you believe it? Yes, that's a working class family. Absolutely. Even still, because her family was always working, they still had all of their family who lived in the Bronx, so she was commuting back and forth, 40 minutes at a time, back and forth from the Bronx to Westchester County anyway. So she was still there. I'll give you a similar example. Myself, I was dirt poor. We were poor as hell. I'm not going front. But I was fortunate because I was smart at that point in my life. I played sports and I also did debate. As my school was the best school by far in the county, it was made up of, this was during the war in Iraq, right? And I lived in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is right outside of Fort Bragg. So we had people with a lot of deployment money, retirees, contractors, nothing pretty much below an E7 or above, or a 03 or above, which is an officer. So anything from a captain to colonels, lieutenant colonels, or E7s with a lot of time in, to sergeant majors. That was not my family. My family worked. My mom worked at Best Buy. Had to work 2 jobs most of my life. 3 jobs during Christmas sometimes. Hours where I would go days without seeing my mom for more than 3 to 4 hours a day. But you know what the average income of my area was, or the average price of a home in my area? To this day, you can look it up. It is still the most expensive. It's the second most. There's Old Money over there by Terry Sanford, where they used to auction off slaves. I'm gonna talk about that. But even still, I think that now the most expensive district in the county is Jack Britt because of the school itself. So I still went to the best school because any other school was pretty much trash. My mom didn't want me to squander my talents, nor did she want my brother to squander his talents. So we lived in the most expensive district, but our home monthly was probably, to rent a duplex was $450 roughly a month. What, so I'm rich now? Am I lying about my working class background? Is that what, the same lie that y'all would tell about me? Do you know he's not really black? Have you seen his dad? Have you seen his grandparents? My mom's from the Bronx. She lived in for the last 20 years of her life. She lived in North Carolina because that's where my brother and I had opportunity. Is my mom not from the Bronx now? She lived there her whole life until her high school years, and she was in California. Is she not from the Bronx now? Is that the thing? My uncles live in Fort Lauderdale. They're from Queens. Are they not from Queens because they moved to Fort Lauderdale eventually for better opportunity? Like, it's nonsense. What you all don't get is that there's so many people that I've seen saying, what can she do? Okay, how about this? How about you think about it from this perspective? Why would the establishment be wasting so much time on someone who has no power to them? On someone who couldn't have zero chance of being efficacious in Congress? Why would the establishment run so many hit pieces on someone who hasn't even won an election? Why would Ben Shapiro be spending segment after segment after segment attacking her? Why would Alex Jones be attacking her? Why would Fox News be spending segment after segment attacking her? Why would CNN be spending segment after segment trying to convince the world that this is not a big deal? Why would The Hill just write an article? Yes, democratic socialism works in New York, but it doesn't work anywhere else. Maybe because for the first time in history, or not the first time, the second time in history, there is a variable that came into play that is totally out of their control and that they did not see coming. Which is why, if you actually watch the interviews on like The View, on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, the interviews on MSNBC, CNN, etc., 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 they're looking at her like, hold up, you're a democratic socialist? Shit, y'all didn't ask her who she was before she came on? Do y'all know this woman wants single payer health care? We can't just, we're live right now, people. We're alive. We can't even shut this shit off. You should have asked her what she was about. Nobody vetted her. Why? Because, yes, you are right. The establishment cares about vanity. They care about the fact that she's Puerto Rican. They care about the fact that she's 28. They care about the fact that she'll be the youngest person to ever serve in Congress. They care about the fact that she's from the Bronx. They care about the fact that she's absolutely drop dead gorgeous. They care about the fact that she beat Crowley. They care about all of this stuff. But that doesn't mean they did their research, people. These are the same networks that, well, some of them knew who Bernie Sanders was, which is why they absolutely refused to give him coverage. But they didn't know who Ocasio was outside of the fact that she was a registered Democrat. They thought she was one of them because they could not believe that there is any chance that she could have won. They're like, oh, she's clearly taking money from us. She's clearly on our team, right? No. Nancy Pelosi didn't endorse Ocasio. She endorsed Crowley. Ro Khanna didn't endorse Ocasio. I don't give a damn what he says. He endorsed Ocasio after he got his ass handed to him by progressives in California. Like, what the hell are you doing? He endorsed Crowley against Ocasio while he tried to pretend like he didn't know her platform when she's a Justice Democrat, just like he is. Which they were supposedly created to beat corporate Democrats. Ocasio reached out to him, requested an endorsement. He denied her the first time. Why? Because she wasn't supposed to win. Crowley was. So yes, she's an outlier. And guess what? If you haven't noticed, over the last 3 days, all the excitement by the mainstream media off of the ratings that she generated, oh, that's turning to fear. That's turning to slander. It's turning to lies. It's talking about, why would you spend time talking about how ineffective somebody's going to be on your show? That if you have somebody, I don't know, in Idaho somewhere. I keep forgetting Idaho is a state. If I have anybody from Idaho out here, I am so sorry. I really be forgetting y'all states sometimes. Shout out to Idaho. If I had somebody from Idaho running for an election, if they're running for the presidency like right now and they announced, like, in all seriousness, like, if nobody knows who they are and they just announced, we're going to run for presidency, do y'all think they have a chance to win? Probably not. Let's be honest, right? Do you think that CNN, do you think CNN is going to give them a bunch of airtime discussing how bad they are and how they won't win? Do you think CNN or MSNBC and The Hill would talk about how horrible her policies are? How bad democratic socialism is, how she'll never be able to get anything done in Congress? They used to say something very similar to that guy who could never win mayor of Burlington, and he lost and then won. And to that same guy who can never be in the House of Representatives in a state that used to be primarily red. They used to say the same thing to that guy. And that same guy who eventually ran in that same state as a senator and won. And that same guy who has come to be known as the Amendment King. The same guy who had 2% in polling during the Democratic primary election, and that was with like a 4% margin of error. That same guy who changed the face of this country by making people do their own research and figuring out all the lies the establishment was telling you. They don't care. They don't care that she's going to win or lose this election. They don't care that she's going to be able to pass legislation or not pass legislation. What they care about is that she makes you care about passing single payer. That she makes you care about fighting against the military-industrial complex, about fighting against the prison-industrial complex, about making sure that we can have a livable wage. That's what they care about. It's not about what she can do. It's about what she can empower you to do. That's what this has been about. Why do you think they never gave Bernie Sanders a voice? What did they do next? Because it's the same fucking pattern. They didn't talk about her at all. They didn't talk about him at all. Then, weirdly enough, they finally gave her attention, and then it was straight attacks. With Bernie Sanders was like, oh, he's an anomaly. Oh, God, can you believe that people want single-payer health care? We didn't know that until Bernie came in office. But that's silly. And then they trash him and tell people how ineffective he is and how people still want Hillary Clinton. And guess what? You know, there's one other person that nobody likes to talk about, but the same thing happened to him too. But unfortunately, it was in some of the ways, it was bad. Remember? Trump is laughable. He can't win. These same mainstream media sites, nobody's going to want to build a wall. Nobody's going to allow Trump to do what he wants to do. Nobody's going to vote for Trump. There's no way that his policies are popular in America. Oh shit, Trump's the president of the United States. And oh, by the way, not only is Trump the president of the United States, but he has a mandate that we have not seen since Obama first got in office, when everybody thought that he's the heir, that he is or was the heir apparent to Bernie, which he was not. Obama wanted a damn wall too, believe it or not. Obama was against equal rights for marriage, which is why he never advocated for it or pushed it, believe it or not. So we already know this about Hillary too. Why spend money, because this is money, when you give somebody airtime, whether it's to attack them or otherwise? Why spend airtime money on someone who is not a threat to you unless she is, unless they are? That's my question. Why? Why punch down? Maybe because it's not punching down. Maybe because all of the people that Ocasio have endorsed thus far have seen major increases in their funding, in their races, and now will be known as the candidate like Abdul in Michigan right now, which is a huge state right now because you have the Nexus pipeline going through Michigan. So who do you think would kill that Nexus pipeline if he won? Abdul. Who endorsed Abdul? Ocasio. Do you not see how shit rolls downhill? And Abdul looks like there's a good chance for him to actually be the governor of Michigan. And by getting that endorsement, he's quadrupled his opportunity to do it. That is why they slander her. That is why they are lying to you about her. That is exactly why they started giving her airtime until they found out who she was. And then everything else, I'm going to do a video about this tomorrow. Either tomorrow or tonight. I'm going to do a video about the CNN interview. It was appalling. I've never seen CNN care that much about a candidate's platform. Ever. Ever. They were asking her, who do you vote for? Who are you going to vote for? Who do you support for leader of the House? Do you support Nancy Pelosi? Who's going to be leadership? What are you going to do? How are you going to pass it? What are you going to spend it on? Like, all of a sudden they care about what she has to say because they want her to slip up. They even asked her to impeach Donald Trump, right? And I'm not a fan. I was like, hold up, wait a minute, let's see what she's going to say. And I'm not a fan of impeaching Donald Trump. I'm not a fan of it. I am against impeaching him for Russia. But Ocasio was smart. She's smarter than the average bear. Because they said, would you push for impeachment? She's like, no, I would support impeachment only under the emolument clause, which means that no president can take special gifts. They can't, like, for example, having Chinese diplomats stay in your hotels. That's illegal. That is a federal offense, and it is an impeachable offense. Having your son-in-law, Jared Kushner, run foreign affairs for you, that technically could, and by all intents and purposes, is illegal and could be impeachable. I don't think Kushner's his nephew, right? It's either his nephew or son-in-law. Can't remember. Either way. But here's the funny part about that. You know why she said that? Because you notice that has never been part of her platform. Impeaching Trump, she never talked about. And as much as they want to try to push her into the Trump hate speech, they don't talk about her anti-war platform, which is the most progressive platform to date. More progressive than Bernie Sanders. She calls the Palestinian Israeli conflict exactly what it is, a fucking genocide. She calls it that. She talks about Yemen, she talks about Somalia, she talks about Sudan, she talks about Libya, she talks about Afghanistan, she talks about Syria. But you know what the beauty of her saying the emolument clause, that's the only way that she would even support articles of impeachment, is because they would never fucking do it. Every single sitting representative who is not Tulsi Gabbard or in the future Ocasio would every single one of them would lose their seats because Trump will hire an investigative team to show how literally all of them are profiting based off of their offices that they hold right now. Ask Cory Booker. Ask Kamala Harris. And those are senators. The corruption in both the House and the Senate and the quid pro quo behavior that we have, it is insane. And you think that they're going to introduce articles of impeachment, which the only legitimate articles of impeachment that they would be able to introduce is the emolument clause? Like, oh my God, can you believe Trump has used his office to get rich? Oh my God. Obama was worth $300,000 before he went into office, came out worth $13 million. The salary for a president is what, $400,000? He was taking money from Wall Street and also investing his money in Wall Street. Huh. How interesting. Do you really think that they would do that? Of course not. She knows this. She would never have to deal with that issue. They're not going to impeach Trump. But they want to hear her slip up. They're putting pressure on her because she is one of us. They did not expect her. She is working class. The average price of a home at the time her dad, who was an architect, bought that house was between $650,000 and $700,000. Her dad was a freaking architect, and they still could only afford a 3-bedroom home, 1 bathroom, 5 people in the family, and the families are the parents still had to skip meals just for them to be able to have it. Her father passed away. Once again, you insensitive dickheads who keep pretending that Ocasio is rich. Her father passed away during the recession, no less, which makes it even worse. Her brother, her mom, her family worked to keep that house. After she became an adult, she moved back to the Bronx. While she was there, because her parents were always working, they were always commuting back and forth from the Bronx to Westchester. The only reason they moved to Westchester County was so that she can have a fighting chance in the education system that is not really that good in New York. She is one of you fucking idiots. Stop shooting yourselves in the foot. If you don't want change, then just say it. If you want to complain, and it's funny because for me, what I have seen is that, and this is a pattern that I've noticed, those who are always complaining and talking about how impossible change is are the ones who don't need it because they're comfortable with their situation right now. It's the people who already own their homes, or at least they have an ability to pay it. It's the people who are already collecting a retirement check or multiple checks. It's the people whose kids are already out of college. The people whose jobs give them health care for now. It's the people who hide behind these fake photos, these fake names. The people who pretend to be an ally but yet never really offer a solution. And when we finally do get a solution, they swear to you that it could not ever possibly work because the system is just that bad. And it is bad. But in a system, in the education system, and where I lived at, which used to be the second in per capita murders, where on the road that I lived on, we had 3 of the top 8 of Fayetteville's most wanted, or Cumberland County's most wanted, living in the neighborhood across from me. I managed to go to a top 5 school in UNC at Chapel Hill on a full ride. I managed to be one of the best debaters in the country because when decent people take the time to invest in those who don't have opportunity but have potential, believe it or not, we can do great things. So fuck you. Ocasio is one of you. If you don't like it, get over yourself. Just at least don't pretend to be an ally. And if you're going to lie, do a better job than you have been doing, because simple research debunks all that. All that. Stop using mainstream media propaganda to justify, or more specifically, stop using establishment propaganda to justify calling someone the establishment. How many negative articles have you seen by The Hill, Huffington Post, MSNBC, etc., etc., etc.? How many negative articles have you seen about them, from them, about Kamala Harris, Joe Crowley, Kirsten Gillibrand, Nancy Pelosi, Dianne Feinstein, Kevin De Leon, who's the other? Cory Booker. How many times have you seen people dig into the fact that Kamala Harris's sister worked directly for John Podesta? Directly for him. How many times have you seen them? Nobody at The Hill, the Huffington Post, CNN, MSNBC, all these places, even Fox News. Nobody finds it interesting that Kamala Harris's sister was one of Hillary Clinton's top 3 campaign advisors, and all of a sudden, all of Clinton's top donors say that Kamala Harris is the next rising star in the Democratic Party. But no, that's not important. Everybody, let's focus on this 3-bedroom house for 5 people that was less than 1,000 square feet in a time where all of the houses at that point in the market in Westchester were significantly less in price. Let's focus on that. Holy shit. If this is what people think is important. Oh, let me just, I see somebody said that you're still in shock that Feinstein beat Allison Hartson. Okay, so unfortunately I am not. People in California did not like Allison Hartson. She was flaky. She didn't go to meetings. That she would literally schedule like events and not show up. When she finally did show up to events, she would sit outside. She wasn't really compelling. Nobody knew anything about her really, other than the fact that Cenk picked her to replace him because he was supposed to run for office, and that she was a Justice Democrat, but she didn't even really earn that spot. And mind you, that they picked her to run against actual progressives who had been putting in work for almost a year up until that point. So they put her in like 3 months before the election, or 4 months before the election, and there were people who actually went like there were people who put in a year's worth of work. So hey, anyway, with that being said, people, I got to go. Y'all give me a, I love y'all though. I love my supports. Make sure you subscribe, peeps. Make sure you subscribe. Hey, and always remember, more than anything else, find your balance. Peace.